Hello viewers, welcome to teamabapp.com. In this tutorial, I'm gonna walk you through a step-by-step development of simple UFA app. This app, we will start with nothing and we will end up with a fully functional app. The app that we are going to design is going to be designed based upon MVC architecture. Okay, so before we go into the development, let us take a look at the MVC architecture itself. So you all must be familiar with the MVC architecture in Web10 Pro app. We are going to have something similar to that over here. The architecture of the application should be designed in a way that the index.html file will be the starting point of our application, which will in turn trigger the component.js file. So the component.js file act as our component controller, and all the data that are to be globally available, the models, the metadata configurations, and everything will be created within the component.js file. This component.js file will then invoke the app controller. I mean the app view that I have developed that I was displayed over here. Then this app in turn will call the split app, within which we are going to have our views and we are going to display it. Then the navigations, whatever we are going to do from one view to another view, will be handled within our app controller. Then whatever the view that we are going to create, all those view will be included within this app view. Then apart from that, we have this mock model. We are not going to call any services over here, or we are not going to hit the backend. We are just going to construct the application with the help of a mock file. Then for the resource model, we have this internationalization. So we will create the internationalization model for the text and we will bind it to the labels and other text places. Apart from that, we will also create some of the utilities file in which we will be formatting the cells as well as the date format. Okay, now let's go and develop the application. So file, new, project, choose application project from SAP UEFI application development. Click on next, enter the project name. I'm entering the project name as sales order. I'm going to choose the mobile library, which is what we wanted. And now while creating this app project, I'm not going to create it with the initial view. So whatever the view that we wanted at later point of time, we will create it at later stage. Then click on finish. So the project has been created. In the index.html file, we are loading the UEFI resources and we are loading the M library along with the blue crystal theme. Then in the script tag, there is nothing. We are going to call the component from the index file, which we will be writing it over here. So before we call the component file, I have to create it first. So what I will do is I will go to the web content folder and I will create a file called component.js. That that should be the file name for creating the component. And that component.js file should be created in the same folder where the index.html file is located. So new file component.js. Okay. So first thing is that I have to declare the component by creating it a namespace. So namespace literally means a folder. It's just like we are going to create a folder and then we are going to group all the other development artifacts inside that particular folder. So jquery.sap.declare is the statement that will help me declare the files, and here I'm going to declare a component file. So I'm going to provide it with the extension dot component. So the namespace that I'm going to provide is sap.demo.salesorder.component. Okay, so we have now declared our component file. The next thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to create the UI for the component. So in order to create the UI for the component, in the class in the library sap.ui.core, there is a class called UI component which actually creates the user interface for the application. So I'm just going to extend that class and I'm going to write my codings over there. So I'm just going to extend this class to create my user interface. sap.ui.core.ui component dot extend. So I'm creating this extension to component sap.demo.sales.order.component. Then it accepts an object. So now here I'm going to create a create content method. So this is the method that should get executed for creating the user interface. So I'm just going to create the method over here, create content, and inside this I'm going to call the root view, which is the view that we have discussed over here. It is similar to that of a window controller. Okay, so now I have declared the method. So before I instantiate that root view, I just have to create it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the web content folder and I'm going to create a folder called views. So within this folder, all the other views which we are going to develop will be included from now on. So in the view folder, I'm going to create a view. So in the SAP UFI application development, this time I'm going to choose the view, click on next, and I'm going to name this view as a app, app view. And this is going to be a JavaScript view. Click on finish. A view will be constructed. So for the component, we have created a namespace sap.demo.salesorder. It's just like we are creating the folder at runtime. Now all the other development artifacts that I wanted to create, that should come under this particular file path. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the file path of this particular views so that it comes under the component. So just replace the file extension file name by adding sap.demo.salesorder in front of it. Okay, now we have changed the file path of the application view. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the title. We are not going to do anything else over here. Now that we have created the app view, I'm going to instantiate the app view inside our component file. So variable root is equal to, I'm going to instantiate the view. Remember, while instantiating the view, we need not provide the new keyword, and it's going to accept an object. So first thing that I'm going to pass is ID. I'm going to call this as root app, then view name. The view name is going to be sap.demo.salesorder.views.app. Then the type of view is going to be JS, and the last attribute that I wanted to pass is view data. So in the view data, I'm going to pass the component as this. So what we are doing here is component. So I'm just going to pass this component controller as a component to this root app. So all the data that are here will be available to this root app as well. Then I'm going to return the root. Now from the index.html file, I have to call the component file. So to call, before I call the component file, I have to specify where the component file is located so that the system can access it. So since we have created a namespace and we have created the component and other development artifacts inside that, we have to specify the system. This is the location it should look for at runtime. So I'm just going to specify this location in the index.html file. So go on and add an attribute data.sap.ui hyphen resource roots, and this is going to accept the value as an object, and inside this you can pass as many as namespace you wanted. So I'm just specifying the system that this particular namespace is available in the root directory. So the index.html file will be considered as the root directory. I mean the folder in which index.html is available is considered as a root directory, and within the very same folder we also have the component sap.demo.salesorder. Now in order to display the component, I'm just going to instantiate the component through a component container from the core library. So new sap.ui.core.component container, and this is going to accept an object wherein I'm going to pass the name attribute, which is the name of the component sap.demo.salesorder. Then after I'm instantiating it, I'm just going to place this component in the div tag which has an ID content, so that it will be displayed on the particular placeholder. So place at content. Okay, so now what we have done is the index.html file will be the starting page of our application, and when this file gets executed, we are instantiating the component. S- Then this will load the component.js file, and inside the create content function, we are actually instantiating the root view. So this root view will be instantiated. As of now, there are no contents to be displayed. We only have the title. So if you run this application now, you must be able to see this title. So right click on the project, run as web app preview. Okay, so we have developed the overview architecture using this component file. In the next session, we will see how to navigate between the two views by introducing a split app control.